So for the past 3 days, it has been over 100 degrees where I live, and I don't have AC in my house. So I'm hoping with the help of the new Castle 240 RGB, at least my Ryzen 2600 will be comfortable. Wait, I almost forgot something. Hold on. Can you imagine if I forgot a beer on this show? It'd be weird. That's a good pour. Welcome back to Craft Computing, everyone. As always, I'm Jeff. Today, I'm going to take a look at the new Castle 240 RGB by GamerStorm DeepCool. I'm going to do a live unboxing, installation, and then testing of this on my Ryzen 5 2600 system. So, let's get started. So, I have not opened this up yet, so what you see is what I'm seeing for the very first time. Very nice looking fans. I like the look of those, kind of a grooved blade on there. Those are sharp. And then inside the box itself is obviously the pump and radiator combo. Nice big copper block on the bottom. Very nice to see. The pump has just a 3-pin connector and then an RGB. That is a digital header. So very nice. Are these individually addressable? They are. DeepCool, why weren't you part of my fan roundup? What the heck, guys? We'll have to get you next time. So here are your Intel and AMD brackets, and I mean all of your Intel and AMD brackets. This thing supports Intel LGA 2066, 2011, 1366, and 1155. So that's your 1155, 56, and 50 and 51. Thank you, Intel, for changing your sockets every single year. And then on the AMD side of things, we've got TR4 support, so you can cool Threadripper with this, as well as AM4, AM3, dating all the way back to the AM2 days. So, yeah, pretty much CPU socket support all the way back to around 2008. Sorry, Intel fans, no 775 support. We've also got an addressable RGB controller, which would have been really nice to use when I was using my Creative Sound Blaster on my last video to control my XSPC fans. This would have been a much more elegant solution. Thanks, now I have this. It was actually in my house the whole time. So again, we've got a SATA power connector on the RGB controller. Thank you so much, DeepCool, for not using Molex. We've got an Rgb Splitter, so you can have one input and have up to 4 RGB devices controlled by this. So that can be your fans, the pump itself, or you can add an RGB strip to this, it looks like. We've also got both adapters you will need to plug into the 3-pin that DeepCool is using on their fans to plug into any rainbow or digital RGB headers that are on your motherboard, or any other controllers you might have. And then DeepCool, this is a very nice addition. I have been complaining for a long time when you buy kits that require multiple fans, or even cases that require multiple fans, that no one is including PWM hubs. This is very, very welcome. It is a 4-pin fan hub that requires only one 4-pin header on your motherboard, so you can have all of your fans ramp up with your CPU and only have to dial in your CPU fan curve. So very, very nice touch. Moving on, first impression, the fans. I really like the construction on them. They're nice and sturdy. I do like the look of the fans overall. The blades have kind of a ribbed groove design on them. I think they're rather sharp. I can't wait to see these lit up. Then there's obviously the pump and radiator itself. Very, very elegant design. The radiator has a little bit better fit and finish than I've seen on some other units, and there's actually a fill port on here. So you can actually top this off if you ever needed to. I'm not sure why you would need to on a closed system like this, but apparently it's an option these days. And then the block, obviously a very, very nice, elegant design. It's got a brushed silver finish on it. That is a plastic finish on that. But the mirrored top is just fantastic looking. And again, I can't wait to see this thing lit up. So what do you say we get this thing installed and give it a run, shall we? And welcome back, and now for the magic moment. I have not powered this on yet, so hopefully all my cabling is good, but... Oh, that's not bad looking. Nice. I'm digging that almost kind of an infinity mirror look to that. That is cool. Let's see if I've got display. I do have display. All right. I apologize for the up-the-nose camera angle. This is the best I could do to let you see the lights inside of there. It's a live review. What do you want? Besides, my chair is all the way down. It doesn't go any lower. I'm 6'4", and I gotta tell you, that is way more comfortable. I built this desk so I could use it. All right, and after a little finagling with my USB capture card, we are finally at the desktop. So let's take a look at what we've got here. My Ryzen 5 2600 is overclocked to 4.1 gigahertz. I'm just going for broke right out of the gate. And you can see we are idling at a temperature of 32 degrees, which is pretty solid. Average has been 32 this whole time. It did hit a peak of 42, but it's Windows sitting there, and it does what Windows 10 does, and that is use your processor randomly. But I gotta tell you, compared to all the temperature tests I did with all those RGB fans, this is by far the quietest yet. Wonderful job, DeepCool, for keeping this thing cool and quiet by default. But you know we can't leave it there. Let's fire up some benchmarks and see how this thing actually performs. So in my fan testing last week, the average temperature observed under load for Heaven was 59 degrees Celsius by the CPU in a 25.4 degrees Celsius room. I have my handy little infrared thermometer here, and typically I measure a couple surfaces and just do a quick little average, and you can see we are at 26.1. So slightly warmer than the other day, but still pretty consistent, and that's consistent throughout the room. So I'm gonna call it a 26.1 degree ambient. And as you can see, 25.4. Let's see how we're doing thus far. So far we're hovering about 52. We did hit a max of 52, but keep in mind the Heaven benchmark for the XSPC fans also hit 59, so an improvement, but let's wait until this thing equalizes. I'll let it level out for a little bit, and then I'll take an average. And while we're waiting, I'll drink more beer. All right, now the fans are ramping up a little bit here. You can see we hit a max of 59 there for a second, and we're hovering near 50 or 52. There's a 55 again. So we're getting near our equalization point. Usually doesn't take long. GPU's already there. It's hovering around 74, which is around the max we saw last time. Last time we saw 76. Although that was with a couple fans blowing up at it, although this shouldn't be that much different. So it seems to have leveled off now. I'm going to go ahead and start my average, but I must say, if this is the loudest this system ever gets, I am definitely a buyer. My mic is right here. It is not that far out of frame. It is not that far away from this case, and that is a very pleasant sound. It's not loud. It's not ramping up and down. It's very, very smooth and steady. It's more all you hear is the airflow. You don't really hear the fan or the pump. So thus far, I'm very impressed with this cooler. So we've pretty well leveled off here, right around 50 or 53. So I'm going to go ahead and start my average right now. Nothing like it being 100 degrees in Oregon all day and being blasted by warm air from my graphics card for testing for you folks. I suffer and I suffer. All right, so that is 3 minutes, and as you can see, our average temperature is 51.6 degrees Celsius there. Max achieved was 64.3, but that is still very respectable. The average that I achieved in the exact same test, and actually almost 1 degree cooler in the room, with the best set of air cooling fans that I had, that was the XSPC fans with the stock cooler, this hit 59 degrees Celsius, so 51.3, very, very solid. And I must say, much, much quieter running system all around. I am not opposed to being in the same room as this system, let alone sitting literally this close to it. With the XSPC fans, it was still kind of like sitting next to a jet engine. Those fans were running at 100% when that fan, or when that CPU hit 60 degrees. This, not so much. This had room to go. And since we're all warmed up, the liquid is probably equalized in there, we're going to go ahead and run IDA64 stress test, just like we did in our air cooling fans, and see what we can get here. So while IDA64 is cranking, what do you say we take a look at the fan colors that come with the built-in controller? Now I will say one of the downsides already to this controller is you have to have physical access to the controller to change the colors. You can't like wire in your reset switch to control it or anything like that. You have to actually get into your case to use it. So I'm gonna reach around the backside panel, which is undone, and the controller is right there. And let's see what we got here. So again, I'm still in the default, everyone has a rainbow effect. I think that's just red. Okay, let's get through our single colors here. Now we're at a heartbeat red. Okay. Ooh, there we go. Now we're getting some motion. By the way, I'm watching the same angle you are. The case is over here. I should be looking this way, but I really can't. It's on my monitor. Okay, so I seem to have stumbled upon a couple color change options here, and that is we've got a yellow and pink, we've got a blue and purple, we've got a green and pink, blue and purple, kind of a, sorry, green and purple. I'm colorblind, give me a break. There's white, if you just want white. Why you're spending this kind of money for white? So that seems to be about all of them. Not a lot of customization here, but again, I am using a very, very inexpensive RGB controller. This is one of the only ones that does show motion to the RGB effects. And if you have an addressable RGB, I prefer there to be motion to the effects. I don't want just a static color or kind of a rainbow effect. I'd like to see some motion and some darkness inside of that. It really does add a little bit different dimension. That being said, we are using a very inexpensive RGB controller, the one that came with it, which, by the way, DeepCool, thank you for providing an RGB controller. That's actually worth something. This seems to be a pretty good assortment of effects, although if you had a dedicated controller or a software controller, you could do a lot more with this. So there you go, not a bad looking cooler and set of fans there. Addressable RGBs, very simple controller, very easy to control. Once you have it on an effect you like, unfortunately you can't really change it without taking your case apart. But yeah, it's something. Anyway, let's check on IDA64, see how we're doing there. We're not leveled off quite yet. We're at 68 degrees Celsius. I think there's probably still a little bit of room to grow there. We might level off somewhere around 70. But I will say, it's not 80 or 83 degrees Celsius like we were getting with the air cooler, so already a marked improvement. Actually, I'm looking at the wrong numbers here. Normally, I'm used to looking at just whatever number is the highest. In this case, I think my motherboard temp is actually the highest, and that makes sense. I have a little bit less airflow over my motherboard since I took a couple of fans away. My CPU is actually leveled off at 56 and has kind of flatlined ever since I started this test. That's a result. So from an 80 to 83 degrees Celsius max temperature on the CPU with the stock air cooler, down to 56. Color me impressed. So yeah, DeepCool Castle 240 RGB. How's 24 degrees off your CPU temperature sound? I'd say that's a result. So what do I think in this live review? Overall, very good performance. I do like the lighting in there. It has, like I said, almost an infinity mirror look. If I had to guess, there's RGBs back behind and then they're reflecting up a piece of frosted acrylic on the sides. But I'm actually not sure how they achieve that effect. Either way, it's a very good effect and it looks fantastic in that case. And the fans aren't anything to scoff at either. Those look amazing as well. But that cooler, awesome job, DeepCool. Word of advice, don't turn the RGB up to full speed. Or slow speed, leave it somewhere in the middle. At $109, I would absolutely recommend this cooler. If you're watching in the US, sorry, this is an international only affair. You're not going to be able to get this one. Internationally, absolutely this is a great deal. But what do you guys think? Is $109 US a good deal for this cooler or not? Let me know down in the comments. And be sure to follow the link down in the video description to the DeepCool website where you can pick up a Castle 240 RGB for yourself, assuming you're not in the US. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure to follow me on Twitter so you can keep up with my daily shenanigans and actually get notified when I post a video, unlike YouTube's current situation. If you're interested in financially backing this channel, consider hitting me up on Patreon. You'll get access to my exclusive Discord server where you can chat with myself and the rest of the hosts from Talking Heads. Ask me computer building questions and ask John and Steve homebrewing questions. And we're pretty much always available to chat. Like, literally, I don't think any of us ever sleep. thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, I guess.